Factfulness is a coping mechanism that our brains develop in a way that we can cope with situations in our daily life, so we can feel more comfortable with situations that we are not used to, or ways of that things don't work for us normally. It starts by realizing that we don't see reality as it actually is, and our brain starts making a three-step process of looking at what is actually happening, filtering what our own personality feels like it stands out the most, and then it filters inside our brain so we recognize what we actually feel like it's important. With the fact that we don't understand or don't have a perception or the knowledge of what we don't know, which is something obvious, we start by going through the 10 dramatic instincts of factfulness. The gap, which we usually just overlook at two different sides of the spectre instead of looking at the spectre itself. The second and the third one are kind of connected, which is the negativity and the straight line. We start by progressing the negativity that we understand from our situation, and the straight line is a sum of a snowballing effect that makes it bigger and bigger. Then we have the next instinct, which is the fear, which is related to the next one, which is the size, and we start to get fearful of all the problems that we see, even though they are not as big as we actually think. And with that, we try to generalize, which is the next instinct, in a way that, how can I handle this? How can I generalize so everything is the same, all the people are the same? With a specific example, it's you're frustrated with someone and you start thinking, okay, everyone, every person, every people is the same. Then comes the destiny instinct, which is we start feeling like it's a curse. We accept what is happening and just don't want to think about it, and it's always this, it's not getting better. And with that comes the single perspective when we try to understand a simple solution. And a practical example is when people use the duct tape expression, that duct tape can fix everything, so you just need to put duct tape everywhere. Then comes the blame, where at some point we need to feel more comfortable, more light, so we try to share or try to get rid of some frustration inside of ourselves. So we try to point at someone or something so we can put the blame on them instead of ourselves. And the urgency, which is the last instinct, is the most seen and the one that you can realize the most, because you can notice on everyone and even in yourself, which is when you start worrying more about trying to get rid of the problem instead of thinking, what is the problem? Having said that, I believe that the way to deal with the factfulness is to make the younger generation and even our generation, instead of making them look at it as a I feel, make it look like I think. Because right now, one of the most important aspects is actually critical thinking and logical thinking. And one of the properties of both the younger generations that we have is the feelings. We cope a lot with feelings, we deal with feelings, and we think with feelings. And the factfulness is a really good example of how to deal with problems with critical and logical thinking.